Hi everyone, I'm Denise Merrick and you're watching Daytime. It's International Women's Day, a day for celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. The Denise House is here to focus on an important women's issue, and that is safety for women and their children. Stress and resiliency strategist Beverly Byerman King is also joining us to talk about working with difficult bosses and co-workers. Sandy Grant will join me on set later, demonstrating the best ways to pack your bag for March getaway. And Alex Frankel is here to talk about a teddy bear clinic for kids. To start the hour, we are with Aimee Chada from She Speaks Canada. Aimee believes every woman has a story, and she is on a mission to help them share it. Aimee, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Every woman has a story. What do you mean by that?
Well, I just believe in the power of story to start with, and I believe that every woman has had experiences in her life, and some of those can be very challenging. Some of them can be even personal failures, things that have happened to us, and all of those things that happen in our lives, they create this story of our life, right? They create like a theme almost. And sometimes when you look back over your life and you see these things that you've been through, you discover there's this thing now that I'm actually passionate about because of what I've gone through. And so I really believe in the power of women sharing their story to empower other women. Because sometimes we're sitting there thinking, I don't know why I went through this. I don't know what I'm to do with my life. And we hear the story of another woman and we're profoundly affected, because now it's like, oh my goodness, that person went through that and they got through it and now they're doing that. I could do that too, possibly. So that's why I think the power of story is so important.
Absolutely. And you created an event actually called She Speaks. Tell us about the event that you had put on recently.
Yeah, so we had our first premiere event last year in October. And the whole premise of the event was, in fact, to give a platform to women to share their stories and to, share kind of what I said just now about how different things that they've been through in their life. But now they're in a place where they recognize that all of that, there's actually purpose in it. There's actually good that came out of it. And they're using their story now to say, hey, I've been through this. Look at where I am at now. Look at how I've healed, or look at what I've learned, what I've experienced. And now maybe I can help you. Maybe I can help my community. Maybe I can make a difference. So that's what the event was all about. We had 10 women speakers come and share, and we were sold out 2 weeks prior, which really showed me that this was something that women were really wanting and looking for, and so it was an incredible event.
Because like you said, when someone else shares their story, it allows the listener also to heal, because sometimes we may have made mistakes in our past or have had experiences happen to us where we feel ashamed or we feel guilty. And in hearing someone else tell their truth about their life, it frees you to realize, okay, I don't have to hide because what I went through had value. Is that what you're seeing?
Exactly it. And that's what I discovered with my own story. I went to a large school and met a handsome guy there. I was a young single woman, and we very quickly got into a relationship, and we ended up getting pregnant very quickly. So for me, that was kind of a traumatic experience because it was unplanned. It wasn't the right time in my life. Didn't know what I was going to do or how I was going to move forward. And in our scenario, it presented a lot of shame. I felt very ashamed because of the choices that I had made. And that's kind of the root or the foundation where all of this comes from, is like what you're saying, that when we feel that we could be vulnerable, right? There's that word that's kind of not a nice word in a way, but when we're vulnerable and we're able to then share our story and say, this is what I've gone through, this is what I've experienced, it actually sets us free from shame. You know, the shame that says I failed or I didn't live up to a standard, which a lot of the time is the case, a standard, whether it's parents or whether it's, maybe in our religion or from outside in the community. And not to say that standards aren't good, but sometimes because of the way that you feel you failed, it presents this sense of shame. And it's really hard to move forward with your life when you're in a place of shame. And so my story is that we actually shared very openly in this school to probably a couple hundred students. Because my boyfriend at the time was in leadership, we kind of felt that it was important, and we were encouraged to do that. And so we did. And that, you know, a lot of people would say, well, why would you even share that publicly? That's nobody's business what you did wrong or whatever, right? But we really found that when we were vulnerable in that way, it totally set us free from the shame and the guilt and the feeling that we had failed. And we were able to move forward there. We had our son, we got married, and just, it's been an amazing years, 16 years now actually of marriage, just seeing how a good thing, an incredible thing can come from a very challenging circumstance when we're free to be vulnerable and to be open about it.
Absolutely, because I've met your son, and he's awesome.
He is awesome. He's really...
So what are your future plans? Because it is such an important mission that you're on. So what are your future plans for She Speaks?
Yeah, so this year I've just been thinking of kind of themes, I guess, and different things that have been coming to my mind, but also having conversations with a lot of women since last year and hearing how so many women are stepping into a place of leadership or are doing things that they've never done before, taking risks and adventure that just, you know, has set them into a whole new pathway. And so I'm thinking of this theme of just coming out of hiding. And I think this year what we really want to focus on is, last year we would say, you know, be vulnerable, share your story, go have a coffee with somebody. But this year we want to say, yes, share your story, be vulnerable, you know, break free of shame, but now take action, do something, you know, on what you've experienced. And so, for instance, like even with you, you did the whole Oshawa thing. You took a risk, you know, and you set this event. You didn't know how it was going to turn out, but you took passion, you know, from probably some of your lived experiences, and you did something about it, and you helped your community. Right? And I'm seeing a lot of women and hearing from women who are doing things like that. You know, they've had this story, they've gone through these experiences, and now they're actually reaching out and helping their community. Even if it's, say, in a neighborhood and they're having local barbecues together, they're coming together and connecting, right? Sharing story, being vulnerable, but now making a difference.
And to make more of a difference, I recommend going to your website, which is shespeaks.ca.
Yes.
And signing up for your newsletter so that people know when they can come to your next event. Up next, the Denise House. Stay with us.